Hi, welcome back to our Photoshop video series. In this video, we are going to learn about the transformation tool. Well, it's not exactly a tool because we don't see it in a toolbar, but it's still a very important feature which you'll repeatedly use in your work in Photoshop. Now, why we need this transform tool? Because there will be a lot of times where we'll need to change the shape, size, rotation of our image or layer or the canvas to meet our design requirements. And this is the tool we need to do such changes. Now, as we are doing from our last few videos, download the PSD file I have provided you in the description to follow along with the video, so you'll learn faster and more efficiently. And this is the time where you'll have to learn and know the shortcut keys I have provided in the tips and tricks video to smoothen out your work. And if you have not watched the video, at least read the PDF document. It will help you a lot to work faster. Now getting back to our topic. Once you open the file, look at the layers panel and see what all we have here. First, on top of all the layers, we have a company's name and my own name. Then we have some Spider-Mans and a spider layer. And then we have the gradient background and at the bottommost the base white background. Also, you can see that these Spider-Man layers are transparent layers as represented by their icons which shows the grid background. Now let's see where this transform function lies. You will find the transform function in the edit menu and transform. You can see various types of transform options. Here we have scale, skew, rotation, distort, and so on. Now just go one step back. You can see just above the transform is another function called free transform with hotkey Ctrl T. This function does exactly what its name suggests. Now let's begin transforming. We'll start with the bigger picture here. Click on the empty space on the layers panel to deselect all the layers. Now go to the image menu, image rotation. Here you can see different type of options to rotate the image. Let's do a horizontal flip. This action flips the entire canvas horizontally, just like an image in the mirror. You must have noticed during the flip action that we have used the image menu instead of edit menu, where I have shown you the transform function. Well, if you ever want to do some quick transformation to the entire image, use the image menu. Otherwise, we have the transform function with us to do our little work. Now Ctrl Z to flip the canvas to the original form. If you would like, you can pause the video and experiment with the other options in the image rotate menu. Now, what if I want to flip or rotate a single layer? Well, simply select the layer and go to edit menu, transform, flip horizontal. Here you go. Now Ctrl Z and let's get back to the real transform and not just flipping left and right. For this, select the Lego Spider-Man layer, then go to the edit menu and then free transform. You will see a bounding box appears around the Lego Spider-Man image. The free transform menu lets you do all the transform actions at one go. You don't have to keep going back to the edit menu to select the scale or rotate or skew, etc. etc. Just select free transform and we are equipped with all the transform functions we have in Photoshop except flip and warp. Now press enter. This will deactivate the free transform action, but also apply all the changes you made to the layer while it was active. Now press the hotkeys Ctrl T to activate the free transform around the Lego Spider-Man again. Now look closely at the bounding box. It has 8 mini squares attached to the boundary. Upon mouse over on top of those mini squares, you can see that the cursor changes to two-headed arrow and either horizontal, vertical or diagonal arrowheads depending on the square's location. The two-headed arrow indicates the direction of the cursor where any movement will change the shape of the layer, like this, or this, or this. And you can also hold Shift key while using the corner square for scaling the layer. The Shift key will keep the length and breadth proportion same throughout your scaling process as long as you hold that key. Now, if you move the mouse cursor away from the bounding box, you can see that the mouse cursor change to a bent two-headed arrow. This will let you rotate the layer. And I have already mentioned in one of our previous videos how to rotate. But don't worry, I'll explain it again. Click and drag from the point where the cursor looks like a bent arrow in order to rotate the layer to your desired angle. You can also hold Shift key to make a 15 degrees increments in the image rotation. If you have watched our previous videos and paid attention to them, you should be curious about the modifier keys. We have learned about the use of the Shift key, but we still have Alt key and Control key to be used as a modifier. Well, let's look at the Alt key first. If you try to change the shape of the layer while holding the Alt key, the change in the shape will take place about the center of that layer. Hold Shift as well with the Alt key and you will scale the image about the center. Cool, isn't it? And trust me, this makes a lot of our work much easier than without this modifier. Now let's try to rotate with the Alt key. Actually, we cannot rotate with the Alt key. The Alt key here changes your axis of rotation. Like, hold the Alt key and click where you want to put your new axis. You will see a crosshair appear at the point of click. Now release the Alt and try to rotate the image as usual. See, that's what I was talking about. The Shift key will still do its work of 15 degrees increments in rotation. Now we are left with the Control key. Well, the Control key doesn't work here as a modifier, but as a tool. Hold Control and move the cursor to one of the mini squares on the boundary. You can see that the cursor color changes to white. This indicates that distort and skew and perspective function is active. Click and drag this square to know what it does. Got it? All the three functions at the same time. Now this free function requires some skills to master. Because if you want to do only a skew operation, then you will select the hotkeys to activate the free transform box and you will start your changes. But any wrong movement of your cursor will change the shape or scale of your image also. Though we have the undo command at our disposal, we do need to create some precision to improve our efficiency. But till then, we can always use the menu under the transform menu to make the layer only do actions we need and not change from some random careless rookie movements of our mouse. Now press enter to accept all the changes you made to the layer and deactivate the free transform tool. You also have the ability to press escape as well to cancel any change you made and keep the layer as it was before you burdened it with your ideas. And also, Ctrl Z is always an option if you want to undo some changes and not all. But you need to undo before you press enter. After that, Ctrl Z will undo the free transform action completely. Now we can also transform multiple layers together. Just select all the layers you want to transform and press Ctrl T to begin. Now remember that the transformation will take place about the bounding box that appears or about the single anchor which is by default will be in the middle of that box. You can change the anchor point with the Alt key like I have said few minutes back. Play around with this a bit. Now moving on to our last topic of the video, the warp function. For this, select the baby Spider-Man layer. Go to the edit menu, then transform and then warp. Now we'll see a different kind of bounding box appear around the image. And here I have nothing to tell you. Just click and drag any mini square you seem fit and warp the image as you like. Nice, isn't it? Use this PSD file and all of its layer and practice all the transform operations individually from the transform menu. And practice with the free transform tool as well. See you in the next video.